A very small man can cast a very large shadow.
The content on this channel, including but not limited to videos, audio, commentary, graphics, and descriptions, is created for informational, educational, and/or entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed are solely those of the individual creators and do not represent the views or positions of any other person, company, organization, or entity. Any references to persons or entities are based on publicly available information, personal opinion, or satire, and should not be interpreted as factual statements unless explicitly stated as such. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental unless clearly noted. Cosmographic software assumes all damages through their actions in relation to or incurred by any prosecution from any shared content on this channel.
So, being a homeless individual, what have I seen? From the time that I had to sleep under a bridge, that area they're actually clearing out with police at this point, through the current administration and how people are being treated on the street is abhorrent. The majority of people don't seem to realize that there's a slow process. This process is to erode the middle class, to slowly filter out individuals who are not fit for the working environment into a sector where you could become a state slave. You see, when the federal government made slavery illegal, they didn't make it illegal. They made it a state monopoly. So, when they did that, they basically said, we can own slaves, but you can't. So, you have no rights. Now, imagine you have something happen like happened to me. A spiraling down, out of control situation. Where you lose your Social Security, which is what happened to me in 2023. The company you helped build turns on you, so you delete some shit on a Discord server, and they chase you through every single court they can. And because they chase you, your family and friends offer you places to stay for short periods of time. But you have no means to defend yourself. So they can keep trumping up charges, on and on. Court cases where you have no money to get there, you have no means to defend anything. And it keeps swirling that fucking shit pot. Then, from there, you end up at your parents' house, in my case, my mother's house. And I had to crowdfund bankruptcy, I had to crowdfund people trying to help me, and they held that against me in court, saying I wasn't even allowed to do that. Because it was some violation of a court agreement I never read, nor did I agree to. Then, with threats of being kicked out onto the street, I'm forced to sign papers I'm not even allowed to read. Now, how does this play out in the end? You could probably guess. Sleeping in a back alley, sleeping under a bridge. Being bit by bugs all night. Spit on by people who walk by you. Treated like you are less than human. I met many people on the street who were very kind, who had a rough spot, who just made one little mistake. I made many mistakes. But I started to see this pattern. After I was able to raise enough funds, after I've been able to have a motel, and I have a storage unit, and I have things stashed away. Cosmographic, of course, at this point, being the criminals they are, they won all this, because they knew from the beginning I said they would win this against me. But I noticed something. There's a slow erasure of the poor in this country. We have hostile architecture. We make it harder for people to find a place to sleep. The food banks are running dry. They're near empty. I've been to them. My wife and I went to multiple food. They didn't even have canned food to hand out. Now, this is a situation that I think most people are just ignoring, because you're going to be here someday. Because the plan that has been going on for decades, all you have to do is pay attention and you can see this. They're removing your right to say what you want to say. They're taking away your rights to have guns. They immediately create every single incident that if you're arrested for sleeping for vagrancy or anything like, you start getting criminal charges. They stack them up because once they get you on criminal charges, they can go felonious charges. And guess what they can do then? They can take away your weapon rights. You see, the people who are in power, who have the wealth, money, they don't have to worry about this. They want to force people slowly by destroying how much you earn, taking away your wealth, making you own nothing. And they're doing this systematically over decades so that many don't notice. When you walk down the street and you don't see a homeless person, you think, wow, there's no homeless people here. This is great. Where do you think those homeless people are? Those homeless people have been filtered off. They've been forced to move, charged with vagrancy. But you see, they're destroying your right to own property too. They're erasing your ability to own anything. You got your subscription services, your renter bullshit. You're dealing with all of this too. And your job is now on the line with artificial intelligence. It doesn't matter if the robot does the job bad. The question is, how much does it cost to have this bot or have a robot now do these functions? We're watching it happen in fast food very slowly. Well, you think you're going to make your own grocery store and you're going to defeat Walmart or some shit? Grow up. That ain't going to happen. You see, they've gone with this out of sight, out of mind goal. And as more people become homeless, more people are displaced over the next 10, 20, 30 years. If it even takes that long. There's going to be nobody there to defend you. People like me, we're the early ones. We're getting filtered off now. They're getting rid of us at this point now. Either we comply and go to jail, or we get shot by a bunch of cops and called a druggie or some other nonsense. And when you, the average middle class person, even the upper middle class people today, when you're there in the next 20 years, we're all going to be gone. The end goal has been a slow, silent erasure of the poor. They will turn them into state-impoverished, I don't even want to call them citizens at that point, servants? Slaves, maybe? And they'll slowly get old, they'll slowly rot, they'll die. Nobody will be there, no one will care. And these rich bankers, these Nepo babies, the people, the people born into wealth, the industrialists, the tech oligarchies, and of course our government representatives, they're going to get to live in their wonderful, automated AI utopia. And they'll get the anti-aging drugs, they'll get all of that. So that's what homelessness is now in America. It's a fight to avoid getting arrested by the police. It's a fight to avoid just to avoid starvation. To try to rent a fucking motel. To play the long game and exist as long as you can. Because you're fighting a losing battle. And one day, every single one of you hearing this, if anybody even hears this, you'll be here too. And none of us are going to be around for it. Welcome to the cyberpunk dystopia. You ain't getting out of it. And of course, as always, fuck cosmographic software. As an addendum to this, I do want to add one little thing. You might think that there are programs out there which help you get housing. I tried Section 8. I tried local housing firms. You can't. These waiting lists go on for months. And really, in many cases, from what I've seen, they go on for years. And they don't stop. In fact, they cycle through, and you have to reapply, and reapply, and reapply. And many of the buildings end up getting condemned, and they get shut down. And you're told, go to the next one, go to the next one. And for Section 8 housing, Section 8 housing doesn't work. It is a system where the federal government is supposed to be fronting the bill primarily for people like myself who are on disability. The problem is, you're told you have a right to these things. And then when you apply for these aspects, you're never given them. Or when they actually take you to the building, I went to a Section 8 housing facility that I was supposed to get access to. And 2 weeks later, the building shut down. Well, there were fucking cockroaches running everywhere. The walls had fucking black mold. I was coughing before I left the fucking building. And there was maybe a dozen people living there. So, this was a little bit that I didn't have in the previous rant for this video. And I wish people out there knew just how bad it is. You can't just get a job. You can't just get a house. And you can't just get yourself food. The situation that many of us are living in are dire. It is starvation. It is punishment for things that are outside your control, or where other people determine that you're worth less than they are. And from that, I will end again with the same message. Fuck the system, and fuck cosmographic software.
Power resides where men believe it resides.